Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to another installment of On the Porch with Pastor. We're trying to get this one in before this anticipated flash flood comes our way. And it's a good evening. It's a little bit humid, of course, but every day walking with the Lord is a good day. Tonight's installment is called Streams in the Desert, and as is frequently the case, I show you what we're reading from. This is Front Porch Tales, and it's by Philip Gulley, and I enjoy Philip's writing. It's down home, casual style, and many of you obviously enjoy it as well. Thank you for the feedback you give us and the input that you bring us. We do this because you find it encouraging, and so we enjoy our time together, even if we can't see you face to face. We enjoy this encouraging few minutes together. So, Streams in the Desert. Went over to my folks' house one spring day to celebrate my nephew's first birthday. Took a walk and saw people out working in their yards, folks I hadn't seen for years. I saw Mr. Amos Welty down on the corner, raking up the winter deadfall from his yard, getting the place ready for 6 months of flowers, starting with the crocuses and ending with the mums. His crocuses were up. I stopped to look at them. He came over to talk, which made me nervous, since we had parted enemies 20 years before. Mr. Welty had been a sour man, a mean man, truth be told. Once he even threw a shovel at me for walking on his grass. I upped the ante the next day by nailing him with a water balloon. He was pulling weeds, stood to stretch, and I caught him amidships. Pow! He called the town police officer, Charlie Morlock, who put out an all-points bulletin on me. Officer Morlock found me in my front yard. He stopped his cruiser, climbed out, and walked toward me with his hand on his gun. He drew near, reached out, laid his heavy hand on my shoulder, looked me in the eye, and said, "Good shot." He didn't like Mr. Welty either. So I hadn't talked with Mr. Welty since that time, but it was on my mind when he walked toward me that early spring day. He extended his hand and we shook, which disarmed me. Then we talked about crocuses and other harbingers of spring. 20 years ago, he was corroded with anger. Now he was gentleness personified. He had changed. Amos Welty had metamorphosed. I talked with my dad about it. He said Mr. Welty has been nice ever since his mother died. She was all he had. Then she died and he was alone. It occurred to him that instead of throwing shovels at children, he should invite them to his porch for bubble gum and cookies. Now his yard has bare spots where grass once grew, but it seems a far lovelier place. Read a book that said one's personality and character are pretty well formed by the age of 5. By then, folks can tell whether someone will be sipping Ripple in an alleyway or inventing a cure for cancer. At least that's what the author of this book said. Get it right in 5 years or start saving for bail money. I pitched the book. First, because I didn't need the pressure. I have 2 children and a spastic colon, so I already don't sleep nights. But I also pitched it because I know too many Mr. Weltys, folks who changed horses midway across life's stream. Got tired of the nag of hate they were riding and traded up to charity and grace. The prophet Isaiah talks about God making streams in the desert. Talks about how God puts things where they've never been before, like love where hate once reigned. Streams in the desert, Isaiah calls it. I'm here to tell you these streams are real. For early one spring, when the crocuses bloomed, I waded into one. You know, my mind races to all the wise sayings and seemingly intellectual advice or insights that I've gleaned over the years from, let's just say, less than religious people. And on the surface, it seems to have a lot of wisdom to it, but our brother, the Apostle Paul, wrote that that type of wisdom is earthy and not of any real value. James reiterated that type of sentiment as well when he said that true wisdom comes from above. And I think we're in a season now, friends, where we're going to see those that are truly wise because they have the insight of the Holy Spirit and the guidance of our loving Christ. That type of wisdom that comes from above tells us that man does change, that, if I might use an old cliche, a leopard can indeed change his spots. But there is a little catch. It's not the leopard who changes his spots, but it's his Creator who does it for him. I think maybe there's a lot of leopards in the world today who think they don't need their Creator, or for that matter, even see the need to trade in their spots for some new ones. That's rather a shame. So I close with a prayer that all those who need a change, which, let's face it, friends, is all of us, we'll call on our Creator, because I'm convinced that we all need to change our spots, particularly those of us that are my age. If nothing else, liver spots show up. And I sure would like him to change a few of those. Oh my. I'm going to close now before this torrential downpour comes. But friends, I just want to remind you, you're loved, so there's always hope. And Jesus is coming soon. So keep your eyes to the skies.